Welcome to Tech Talk Tuesday. Your clients are the source of your next marketing leads. I'm your host, Paco Lebron. This is the place to learn how to run your IT service business, whether you're a one-person shop or leading a team for the journey. This is the place for you. Let me go ahead and introduce my co-host. We have none other than Rick Smith of Renactus Technology. Rick, how are you today?
Doing okay, Paco. Can't complain. Been a little timely today, a little busy today, but no complaints. Business is business.
How was your long weekend?
Uh, well, we'll talk about that later on. It was long.
I hear that. I hear that. Yeah, we definitely had a good time this way. I got to pick up my daughter for having her for the first time in several months. So, as everyone has heard in previous episodes, this is a very good thing that I am excited for. So, really ecstatic on a lot of the activities that we got going on. And also, my weekend was filled with trying to prepare to put a fence up. And that has led to many arguments and trying to figure out how to get this going. So, it is definitely a way to spend the weekend. It was definitely relaxing, but all good and fun and all that, however that phrase goes. So definitely a good time. But before we go into kind of our topic today, we're going to go ahead and talk about our favorite thing, and that is TechCon Unplugged. TechCon Unplugged is September 16th to the 18th at the Hilton Rosemont Chicago O'Hare. We have a couple updates, actually a fresh update from just this morning. Our pre-date is officially on. It is going to be called the Incident Response Tabletop and MSP's Worst Day. It's going to be a great tabletop to really help you in a day of understanding, all right, if an incident were to occur to you, how are you going to behave? What's going to actually happen? Putting you through that real life exercise so that you have the ability to prepare yourself and move forward. But don't fret. For everyone knows, we have Huntress that is going to be doing this tabletop along with Cyber Matt Lee. But Matt Lee is going to be with us to still do his Microsoft 365 boot camp. It will be a learning lab during the weekend to ensure that everyone can make sure that they can attend. So again, we're going to be having our updates on the agenda for the website. We've got a couple new vendors that'll be joining on. And of course, we have our Friday night and Saturday night that are both Friday night sponsored by Huntress and a possible another vendor, which we're kind of getting the ink dry from there. And we also have Saturday night social with Gradient and Acronis. So if you have not purchased your ticket yet, if you're part of the community, you should have a $100 free coupon in your email list or inside of your Patreon messages. If you are just listening for the podcast for the first time, head over to your favorite vendors that are on our website. They will have a discount code ready for you because we all know that times are tough right now, and we want to be able to share the love and the information that we have available coming up in September. So head over to techconunplugged.com and get your ticket then. Anything you want to add on about TechCon, Rick?
Well, I'm just excited. Time is getting there. When we started planning this, it seemed like so long ago, and now we're in July and we're ready. So I do want to just piggyback on what Paco said. Go out and get your tickets. I think this is going to be a very, very, very memorable TechCon. On top of what Paco's mentioned, we talked about having breakout sessions, which was a very popular topic for everyone. We just have a couple other here and there tidbits and surprises and things we think the community will enjoy. So we do encourage you, if you have not gotten your tickets yet, go out and get them, and we will see you in September.
Yep, super excited. We'll get into more details on the socials if you're following us on all the learning labs, all of the details. Again, me and Rick couldn't have done this by ourselves. We do have our great content committee, which we'll introduce here shortly as well. So appreciate everyone at the offers on help and support. And we also love everyone interested in our event as well. So let's go ahead and push that commercial out to the side and let's really talk about the topic of today. And the topic is what we talked about earlier is your clients are the source of your next marketing leads. Rick, what are we talking about? I'm kidding. This is actually one topic that I actually brought up to him. Actually was brought up to my daughter. So we were actually able to come up with a topic today on really discussing on understanding where's your next marketing leads. We are now in Q3, ladies and gentlemen. We have already completely finished half of the year. And now we're starting off in July. What's your next plan? What are you trying to do? What is the plan to go ahead and move forward? And hopefully you're doing that 1% so you can make sure you can get yourself better in any way, shape, or form. And that's just educating yourself. So what came to mind was there's a book that I had read way back when, probably about a year, possibly a year and a half, called They Ask You Answer by Marcus Sheridan. Very good book. If you haven't heard from it, um, basically the concept of it is anytime any of your clients, anytime any of your prospects, anytime anyone asks anything about your business, your services, anything down to pricing, it will allow you to gain that information and transform it back into information to the client, to the prospect, to the lead to help them with the sale. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, one of the ideas is, for example, you may be getting a lot of questions about pricing. This may come from prospects, this may come from upsells that you may have. Well, you have the ability of, you're constantly answering the same question over and over again. If there is a question that you answer over and over again, you probably should systematize and automate that same way as you would with a task. So in our case, what we'll do is we'll create a knowledge base, or we'll create a blog article about it, and we'll put it on our website. So one of the items being pricing. How do you determine pricing? And we actually went ahead, we had this topic. We actually went over to Tech Blog Builder. They created us the blog. It was a unique custom blog for ourselves. We posted it online, but it allowed us to not only keep it as a knowledge base article, it also allowed us to do it as a blog article, but we actually were able to surface that in social media as well. And guess what? Anytime anyone asked us about it, we send them the link and say, hey, this will probably better help your decision making on pricing as you kind of are looking across everyone else. So it just really helps you in a way where you can get a lot of these feedback and really answering these questions to go ahead and push forward. Rick, is there any type of questions that you normally get over and over again that you wish you could systematize? And I said systematize. I sure did say it that way. But you're our mute.
Wow. Long day. It's just, I think what you're talking about is great. I'm trying to think specifically of questions I get, but there are a lot. And what this brings me to, and not to dodge your question, but it brings me to a point, is
Okay.
when we talk to our clients and explain to them what we do or explain to them what we're offering, they don't care. This is why you hear me say this a lot now, that I don't talk about tools, right, to clients, because they don't care they don't necessarily know what they are, and they don't care what they are. What they care about, is how does this help me, right? So those are the questions that you'll start getting. Here's an example. Today, I went to do a network assessment for a client today. They called and they had some problems with their server. So they wanted to know if we could come and take a look. So he came, wanted us to come take a look. He mentioned some buzzwords. We don't have a backup. We're worried about if the server goes offline, what'll happen. So the questions I got today was when I said, okay, I think your problem was your server hadn't been updated in a while. It forced itself on a restart, and it got, basically sometimes the Dell servers get caught when they restart, and the RAID card doesn't recognize the drive. And then so it gets caught in this loop. I've seen this happen. The perk card gets caught. I've seen this happen countless times. So, eventually they got it. He just kept trying, and it eventually worked. There's nothing wrong with the card. There's nothing wrong with the drive. There was just really just that little fluke that happens every now and then. So, but we talked about, backup, right? And I explained to him, I just said, hey, we will offer you a backup that we do. We call it a managed backup just because we check it. It's daily. It checks in daily. Let us know if a backup has occurred. We do periodically run the checks. So his questions were, again, okay, how does that work? Where's the data get stored? If something happens, how fast can we, go back to work? So that to me is one of those questions you're talking about, right? Customers are concerned about, hey, if this goes wrong, he recognizes that means downtime for him and his business. So how long does it take for you to get me back up and running? And, what is that process? Is it days? Is it, hours? Is it weeks? What happens? So I explained to him the options we have, right? Because of what we use. And I explained to him how it would work. So, but it goes right back to what you're saying. That is one of those, they ask, you answer questions, because again, now I'm sure there are clients who, this client was forward thinking because they had that scare with the server not coming back on, and they spent that time trying to fix it. He had that scare of, hey, there's downtime here, and I got to be able, what if this doesn't come back on? Or we're lucky now, what if it didn't come back on? So, that question was in his head. So that is one of those questions you're talking about. So I, of course, am thinking about, I've made no bones about this. I'm working on video blogging, just dropping some quick videos on my YouTube page and on the basically on our Facebook page and our LinkedIn page, just basically dropping those quick, these are what they are. So this is one of the things kind of in the same relation to you writing it down as a blog. I'm just going to do it as a video. But that was a very long story to get to an example that happened today, but to answer your question. So that was one of the questions we get.
No, I mean, I think those are real great, right? Like that's the biggest piece of this whole thing, is that there's so many mediums that you can utilize to do this. You're doing video. I've written an article. Obviously, I'm better. I can't write them, so I can go ahead and do video. I can go ahead and talk on an audio podcast similar to this. So there are so many mediums that you can help drive this point across. But you specifically said a couple things that I want to highlight as well that lead to this, right? Not only can this help for leads of new clients, but it can also help for leads of upselling, cross-selling, things of that nature. Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned that you heard a lot of the key words, and this is really great on where people, if you're really good at what you're doing, you can listen to and hear these keywords of I don't have backups. I don't have this. That all comes from a qualification, right? That you have these questions that you're asking over and over again. When we deal with a prospect, we have 23 questions we ask our clients every single time. It's just something we've tailored. It's been borrowed from another MSP that I work with. I've modified it over the years. And so we've had this checklist of 23 questions where if a client comes to us, we ask them all these questions. And this is what helps us detect any of those red flags where it may not make sense to move forward with this client. And sometimes it may identify opportunities to kind of move forward with things. So in my case, I'm an all or nothing. So, I have this set of stack. This is what you need to adopt. If you don't take any of this, we can't work together, because I cannot help you with your mitigation efforts in making sure that you can continue to keep work and continue with your business continuity and the buzzword of making sure you're cyber resilient. So because of that, this has allowed us to really hone into hearing certain things. So like you just said, backup, right? And this seems to be a big thing for a lot of people where, if you hear this over and over and over again, like why backup is important. I don't have a backup. Why do I need to monitor my backup? I already have the backup. It's set it or forget it. These are all topics and ideas that you can speak to not only to in a newsletter to your clients, but also these could be social media posts. You should be inviting people to create a LinkedIn page. Hopefully everyone here should have social media pages so that you can help drive content and invite your newsletter clients onto there as well. Even if you don't even have a newsletter and you don't have the social media and you don't have anything like that, that's all right. Put the content up, because that's when people start getting the views, that people will start to find you. And there are all so many different ways of strategies of attracting people toward you. We'll have Matt or one of the other marketers come on to here to kind of talk about how getting that pull marketing into yourself. But really, this is really key pieces of understanding what there are as far as gaps and what you can do to fill those gaps, and really helping not only your client, but also helping yourself when you're trying to figure out what's the best way for me to support and also obviously make a living doing that moving forward as well. The biggest other thing that I can mention is like listening to your clients, right? Like, as I mentioned before, really focusing on, okay, I've looked at my ticket queue and I have the same one ticket from this one client that comes over and over again. Or maybe this is a specific issue that continues straight through on multiple clients. And maybe it's a matter of a turn off and turn back on type of thing. hey, try these 3 steps before you contact us, because normally it's always these 3 steps. Well, that's a blog article. That's a KB. That's something that information you can systematize to kind of go through with that. Not only is that a great opportunity, but also it shows you that you obviously know what you're doing, but it also standardizes your support on every level as you move forward with your techs, as yourself, or maybe even a subcontractor that may be helping you out. This would be a big piece for you to go through. Not only will that help on the customer side, but again, will help on the prospect side as well, because what if they come with this certain issue? Well, you could just reference the KB. Oh, yeah, I remember now what I need to do, because you may have forgotten those said steps. Go back to the KB, go back, you fix the issue. Guess what? You saved yourself, you did it in 15 minutes. You saved yourself 45 minutes. You got yourself an hour of pay because you didn't have to tinker around. And man, I thought I knew I had this issue before. I just can't remember what it is. It's those type of things that really help out in the long run and also help with the bottom line as well.
That's a great point. And one of the other things, it just led me to something else that some people do that you could take into account is case studies as well, particularly with new prospects, right? Letting your current prospects and the things, the issues that they have help you to, like, again, sell to your new prospects with case studies. Hey, I had a client and we had this issue. And because we've gone through this, we know all of the little quirks to talk about. I'll again give an example. In the conversation today, which started about a backup, which we ended up on a firewall, we ended up, on the whole network, which now I'm giving a whole, basically a whole, oh my God,
Assessment.
Well, yeah, a proposal. I'm sorry. Wow. Okay. Long day, guys. I apologize. But I'm giving a proposal to the client now on the whole network. Now, we started with just the backup, just the server issue to make sure it was right. But one of the things we talked about was, having a backup is one thing. And I said this before, but I have run into the scenario where someone has called me, particularly in my break fix days, and they say, hey, our computer's down, but we have a backup. And we go look for the backup. It hasn't backed up in 6 months, 8 months, 6 years, because no one's checked it. So again, these things, if you can, you document, write about it, and talk about the negatives as well, of not necessarily trying to sell on fear, but talk about the negatives that could occur from just doing a partial job on things, right? What doesn't happen. If a client wants to VPN to a network, that computer should be secure as well, right? They should know the things like that. I'm just using these as examples, but these are things that clients ask every day, can we do? And like you say, we should be documenting it. We should be writing about it, because if one client asks the question, 10 people have the same question, and they're searching for it. And you may be that guy, like we say, whether it's video or verbal or written, however it's done. If you put it out there, it is a way for people to find you and say, hey, YouTube, my understanding now is YouTube is the second largest search engine behind Google. So, if you have something on video, people are more than likely, when you Google something, it may pop up on YouTube, right? That your video you put out, or your blog article you wrote will pop up on Google. So, and that brings a client who may not have been thinking about necessarily hiring you, but that gives you authority in their mind, that you're writing about something that is a problem that they have that you can solve, that you seem to have some expertise in or some understanding of, definitely more than they do. That gives you authority, and that gives you an opportunity to attract that person and say, hey, let me pick up and call this guy or this gal and see if they can help me with this issue.
Yeah, I mean, those are big points you said, where, you get a lot of the Google juice, right? You'll be able to go ahead and get on those keywords and really trying to focus and get that piece into really getting people attracted towards you, right? And that's the whole point, right? People are asking these questions, and where they're going to go to. They're going to do it into their search engines. They're going to go, and then in those search engines will drive them into other sites. So for us, we've been really successful on being able to move away from Google reviews and Yelp reviews. And we started doing a heavy concentration on clutch.co and UpCity. those two have actually helped us bring in more managed service clients versus Google and Yelp, and being able to really bring in what we previously were a break fix shop, and those would bring in those reviews. I'm sorry, those clients from those reviews. This has allowed us to really help out. And Upcity and Clutch have a really great case study section that allows us to really advertise what we're doing, what we're having. So people who are asking those questions, wherever they start, Bing, Google, Yahoo, AOL, whatever the case may be, and allows them to flow through and really find the meat of what they're looking for. And if you happen to put this information out there, all this came from, again, just you listening to your clients and your customers on the issues they've been running into, and now translating to other people like them. Now I'll take this even a step further, is for those that may have the same similar type of client, and really trying to focus on, just for example, in ours, we're focusing on industry. So we have legal, we have manufacturing, and then we have private healthcare. On those three industries, there may be the same type of questions that continue to keep happening, and that you've answered and that you've gone fixed, or whatever the case may be. Now you can actually create specific landing pages. You can go ahead and speak toward them specifically, and that'll actually really help dial in your content for not only the year, for the months that are coming to. And again, you can reuse your content in multiple ways or forms. Again, another shameless plug over to Tech Blog Builder and the guys over at Tech Marketing Engine. Speak with them and they can help you kind of with that piece. But that really will help drive a lot of these pieces for you, and really getting that piece of, okay, what can I do? Let me really listen to what my customers are asking me about. Or again, like I said, go back to the ticket queue, see what keeps popping up, and really go into talking about, all right, well, I've had this question about, why do I have to email you about a password reset every single time? Right. And explaining why that there's a process for that, or why maybe you want to enable it, or here are the differences between both worlds. If you're the type of shop that wants to provide that option, well, why is that? Right. And why is 2FA such a pain in the butt? And why do we have to use that? So these are things that if you hear them, and if you, hopefully you're in your day to day, if you're in the boots on the ground, you'll hear some of these things that will help bring that back for you. Either you can leverage them and display them onto your own content, into your own way of expressing, or outsourcing it to a marketing firm that can help divulge this information to everyone that would like to search for that on any type of search engine.
I think that's a great point. I think, excuse me, as we look, and one of the things you think about, clients will ask you the same question. If they ask you the same thing more than once, it's you have to question how you explain. You didn't explain it to them in the language they understand, right? So you have to figure out another way to get them to get it. Sometimes that is going to be pointing them to another medium to get the same answer. Hey, you don't want to say, Mr. Prospect, we've gone over this 3 times already, but hey, I did write an article about this that may explain it a little better than the way I'm saying it verbally. Or I did create a video on this that may explain it to you a little better so you can get it, right? And those things are important, because we don't want a client to feel ignored, right? And even if they ask you a question, you answer it to the best of your ability and they come back to you with it, you have to take that as a sign that they just don't get it. Sometimes, yeah, when it comes to scenarios like 2FA, or they don't like the inconvenience, or that extra 30 seconds it takes now to put that code in. They don't like it, but they may, they do it because we tell them, first of all, we tell them they have to do it, but they and I don't mean it that way, but they get it eventually when they understand the security ramifications of not doing it. And maybe that's what we don't explain, in layman's terms to them at the time. So maybe, like I say, writing, or video, or whatever medium you put it out on, that may help them to get it. And again, I'm going to keep emphasizing this. They're not the only ones who have that feeling. They're not the only ones who have that thought. So when you put it out there in the Google sphere, or whatever you want to call it, on the internet, not only will they have an opportunity to get it, but you're going to have other people who have the opportunity to get it. And that becomes, a way, again, to expand your business because you become an authority on what their issue is. So that I just think is very important when we talk about marketing. It's like you say, is pay attention to what, like you said, what your clients are asking. Because I think a lot of times, and I've been guilty of this, once we get a client, we onboard them, things are running fine, we take that for granted. And sometimes the client is still, things are running great, but they still don't get certain things, or things just don't add up to them. And, we are blindsided when they have an issue because, we haven't paid attention to it because we thought everything's fine. The network's fine. Everything's running smoothly. They should have no problems, but they do have, they do have questions. They do have concerns about things. So we have to pay attention to those. But I think, one of the ways we have to have processes for everything, and then determine if, again, we talk about the 3 Ps, but we have to, just have a process for doing it. And this may be one of those things where I'm going to get not off topic, but a little different, going to a how is maybe take, set some time aside, 1 day a week, 1 hour a week, 2 hours a week, whatever it is, early in the morning, late at night, whenever, and get it written and get it done. I will say this, try to do it in the same week it happens, because if not, you'll keep pushing it off because other things will come up. But it really becomes important to do it. And then if you can do it maybe once a week, twice a week, whatever your time you set aside for, it becomes consistent. That content goes out consistently. Even in your case, Paco, if you just got to send an email to tech marketing and you say, hey, I need someone to blog about this, or I needed someone to write a blog about this, you have to take the steps to do it and not just make it a to-do list. Because if it's a to-do list, it doesn't get, you don't necessarily get to it in a timely manner. And we just need to remember those things can cost us, potential, not only potential clients, but our current clients as well, by not servicing their needs.
Yeah. I think that for those that are concerned and trying to figure out, okay, well, that's fine and dandy. Where do I even start? Like, how do I wrote this out, but I don't know if it's too techie or whatever the case may be. Find one of your friends that are not in the industry. Find your spouse, find your significant other, read it to them. If they look like this, you got to go back to the drawing board. But the biggest piece that I could say to this is that you just got to throw it out there. You just got to do it. You're not going to get it perfect. I suffer from this as well. Even when it comes to like advertising our event, like I just got to make sure everything's perfect before I post it. And I just need to just be consistent and just start getting this out there and letting everybody know. Same thing with the business as well. I need to make sure I just have posts. I have to make sure that there's content. I have to make sure that I'm speaking of my authentic self, but really helping to find value, and for that value for the clients that they're reading it, and hopefully they'll continue to keep listening, subscribing, things of that nature. So what I will say is that check out the book, They Ask You Answer by Marcus Sheridan. It's a very good book. I mean, I had the audio book. I had with my Sony X4s. I was literally writing down a whole OneNote of just things that I wanted to do, help me introduce me to HubSpot, help me just really look at things, really got my blogs with Tech Blog Builder into a position where now I can reuse that content because it's evergreen content. And now I can reutilize them every so often as needed when I go from there. So that's all I have for this. Rick, anything else you want to add on before we sign off this short show?
I think that's about it. I think that's about it. Yeah. I think we beat it. We beat it up enough tonight.
We beat it as don't hopefully beat it. PETA doesn't come after us, but we did beat this horse to death already as much as it is. So, but no. Short episode today. We wanted to make sure we pump one out. We did come off of a long holiday break. We both had to take care of a lot of things going on with the business. So we will be back next week. with another Tech Talk Tuesday. Tune in this Thursday though, because this is going to be a great resource Thursday. We're going to have Enverosoft that'll be on, and this is a product that I've been really interested in hearing about. It has been something that Rick has really been utilizing at his MSP for quite some time, and I think that this is going to be a valuable resource / vendor that everyone should listen to. So check us out, 9 o'clock, 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern. And we appreciate you tuning in today. If you'd like to hear more about this type of content, you can tune in every Tuesday and Thursday. You can watch the video podcast on YouTube and Facebook.com, which is /MSP Unplugged. You can also catch us over on LinkedIn. You can just search for MSP Unplugged. I'm not going to go through the long URL, because if you're typing in the long URL, you're not listening to the show. Just click the link and then you'll take us there. So head over to LinkedIn. You'll catch us over there live as well. Or you can get into the online community. Support the podcast over at patreon.com/MSP Unplugged. We have some news coming out about the private group coming shortly. So our online community has been very we really appreciate those that have supported us. We are working on the next phase of how we're going to help provide value to the community. And so we'll have an announcement soon about how we're going to be changing some things with that group. We're still going to keep it on Facebook for now. From everything that we've mentioned, seems like everyone is just there, but we got some good stuff that is coming out from there. So if you're interested or just want to talk to some other people that in a safe space where people are not talking to you about their opinions as facts, and it's a safe space to ask questions, because there is no such thing as a stupid question, head over to patreon.com/MSP Unplugged. We would love to have you there. If you don't want to listen to the video, or you want to take us with you on the go, you should not be watching the video podcast while you're driving and operating any type of heavy machinery. So you can always listen to us on the go with a podcatcher. We're on all the famous podcatchers on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify as well. So thank you again for listening, and we will see you next time on MSP Unplugged.